The fourth song on Rebirth is Seer. It has a pretty fast pace to it, kind of a rock-ish groove, and definitely the most active riff on the album, meaning there's a lot of chord changes and motion. So the song starts by going straight into a 4-bar tremolo-picked E chord intro with double kicks behind it. It goes like this. So that's 2 bars of a power chord and then sliding up to an E minor. After that, the first real riff comes in. This is a very black metal style riff. It starts the same as the intro with the E power chord up to the E minor. That's followed by a melody where the chord progression travels downward 1 step at a time, alternating from the 4th to the 5th string. Meaning from the E minor, the 4th string drops to an E sus2. And then from the E sus2, the 5th string drops down to a D major. And then the whole thing slides down to a C sharp 4. That wonderful diatonic tritone. And that C chord has a brief melody, so it goes from the sharp 4 to a major 3rd up to the 5th, repeating twice. So that whole riff in full. So after the intro, we go into the first verse and the main riff. Unlike the previous riff, this is pretty much the farthest you can go from black metal. It sticks with regular power chords, and the rhythm kind of sounds like a 90s alternative rock riff, especially since it uses an add 9 chord on top of it as well. So that riff goes like this. So that chord progression is an E, down to a D, which slides back to the E, up to a G, down to the D, and then like the intro riff, it slides from the D down to a C. So I'm sliding down to the C power chord, and then throwing the add 9 on top. So after that riff is played twice, on the 3rd time, what I do to create a little bit of variation is that I mute the first chord to create kind of a pause break, which is actually a really old school alternative pop punk technique. So it goes. So these are the 2 main riffs for Seer. The song shifts between them for the first 2 verses, and then of course, like all alternative rock songs, there's going to be a bridge. So for people like me who are really bad at writing new riffs, this riff was created using a very easy trick that I use all the time to create variation, which is just to take the melody and to kick it up to the next highest harmony. So the intro riff goes like this, of course. It starts on E minor, right? So then the technique is to just go, instead of going to the E minor chord, we go up to the power chord. So that riff in the bridge goes like this. So what that is again, E power chord, and then we slide up to E5, and the melody just goes down the 4th string to the perfect 4th, down to the E minor, and then for the E minor we slide back down to the C sharp. But instead of going down to the 3rd and up to the 5th, on this variation of the riff, I'm actually inverting that, so I'm going from the sharp 4 up to the 5th, down to the minor, right? So to contrast the two riffs, we have verses, now instead of repeating this little C section twice, what I actually do is I climb that harmony upwards, adding the 3rd string as well by barring this, I guess it's a major 6, and then dropping my ring finger to play the major 7, and then repeating that again. So one more time, that bridge riff. So if there's one lesson you can get out of watching this video, once you write a good riff, rather than playing that riff over and over again and wearing it thin, you can always get more out of it, stretch it out by playing harmonies or playing with harmonies or inverting your melodies. You can do this with any black metal riff very easily. I also do the same thing to write my leads and also bass lines sometimes, which just helps develop layers to your riff that makes it more interesting than playing roots over and over again and repeating yourself ad nauseum. Speaking of which, after this section, the song goes back to the main riff for a bass solo that's played over the first half. So the first 2 times the riff is played, you have a bass solo. And then on the remaining 2 halves of the riff, where we get the pause break, that's the last 2 quatrains of the verse. So it's kind of like a half verse compared to the rest of the song, which is 4 quatrains per verse. There's only 2 here. The main reason there's a bass solo in the first place is I just couldn't come up with 4 quatrains of lyrics to close up the song. I had 2 really good ones, and instead of forcing extra lyrics in to do some filler, I decided I was going to do a solo instead. But the other songs already all had guitar solos and leads to them, so I felt like doing a bass solo would, give a good change of pace and keep things kind of new. So once that verse ends, the song repeats the intro riff, and then that's it. That's all the guitars for Seer. So it's pretty straightforward when it comes to the music.